The MedBricks webcast is focused on bringing distinguished Indians and others from diverse fields of science, medicine, technology, and philosophy to learn from each other and to create a new understandings and foster new ideas related to healthcare. Hey, good morning, India. Good afternoon, Europe. Good evening in California, and sleepy time in East Coast. Welcome you all. My name is Ramana Annam Raju. I'm the host of the webcast, MedBricks webcast. We have a very special guest today. His name is I will be introducing you soon. So this is a healthcare media channel. We are live on 8 media channels. We are Thank you. We are getting a lot of traction. I'm very happy about that. This is when I started this one. I was in a dark situation. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but it is very well received. Thank you all. People are watching it, or sometimes they watch recorded sessions. Thank you so much for all of this. Let me introduce you. My new guest is Peter Rao. Is a healthcare executive. He is a master's in healthcare administration. He has. He is He's also a fellow in the American Healthcare Executives Network, and his wife is a physician. And they live in a Lake Ozark, a small town in Missouri. I used to place doctors in the rural areas, so you can explain the rural medicine and their challenges very well. Uh, Welcome, Peter. Welcome to our webcast. Let me bring both of us together.
Yeah, thank
uh,
you. Thanks for having me.
yeah, just a minute. Okay, so tell me anything about your journey to this point up to so far. What is your background, your journey to this place?
Oh, thanks, Romana. Thanks for having me. And can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly
Coming in
well.
well. Yeah. Yeah, no, my Lake of the Ozarks, some people probably have heard of the show Ozarks on TV, on Netflix. Everyone keeps asking me, have I watched it for a long time? I did not watch it. And then I finally started watching it. So I'm in the middle of watching Ozarks, the show on Netflix. But, I think you never know. God brings you in different directions. And I'm here now at Lake of the Ozarks. It was job related that we ended up at Lake of the Ozarks. We used to live in St. Louis for a long time, so I know the St. Louis market really well. I've gotten to know the other side of Missouri, which is Kansas City, which is about 3 hours away from us on the western side of Missouri. Now, since my youngest daughter is presently at Kansas City, she just started her residency program in internal medicine at KU in Kansas with the University of Kansas in Kansas City. So,
Could you
so I
please,
kind of have
if you don't mind, can you please talk a little bit louder?
yeah.
So
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
yeah,
me better now?
I can
Yeah.
hear you perfectly well.
Yeah, so sorry for that. So I was just saying that, so I've been in Missouri for a long time. I've been part of rural healthcare, even though we lived in St. Louis for quite a bit. Most of my life has been in rural medicine and working with physicians and practices, in Missouri. Part of my journey entailed me working with the hospital association here in Missouri, and that enabled me to actually get to all corners of Missouri, uh, meet with different hospitals, get to know them, and understand some of their day-to-day challenges, but also some of the opportunities that they all have. And this was pre-pandemic. Things have changed since then. Um, but um, but yeah, I'm glad. I think all our journeys lead somewhere, and I think it's definitely brought meaning to what I do in my job every day, in assisting practices and groups and hospitals with practices, and it's definitely rewarding. Um, Part of my role has always been to be able to bridge some of the gaps that we have with kind of getting back into the basics of medicine. I had a physician once tell me that we've overcomplicated medicine too much. Healthcare is, as we all know, complicated. It's got so many moving parts, And in a good way or not, definitely not here to judge where we're at today. I think our present status in healthcare in the U.S., I think there can be a lot of finger pointing going on as to all the bad things that do happen. But I think it's up to us to come together to try to really forge ahead with the opportunities that we have to really bridge some of those gaps, whether it's in the area of population health, uh, care coordination, physician compensation, supply chain management. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunities that we have going forward, especially as we get out of the pandemic, because it taught us to be adaptable and flexible to some of the changing needs. So, yeah.
Since you live in a very rural Missouri, what are the challenges hospitals face? They used to have a hard time getting the doctors to work there. You know, is it the pandemic changed a lot of people trying to move to the rural areas now? What is the situation with the hospitals, struggling hospitals, attracting the doctors?
I think it's still, well, one thing I'd say is I don't think the hospitals are attacking the doctors. I think part of it is just the challenge of recruiting physicians, and I think I can speak to myself too because I think I've had to deal, just as a lot of people on the call today are dealing with physician recruitment in a rural climate. It's a challenge of trying to find the right fit. And there's nothing wrong sometimes with a physician that you interview and things don't work out. I think if they end up leaving, it could be due to family or personal reasons. It could be due to financial reasons too that things might change. We do see a higher turnover these days with physicians. I think initially they don't know. Most of the time, when you have younger physicians, you see higher turnover because I think they're still deciding on where they want to be, and that's not a bad thing. I think they do have to find where they want to be and where they want to be happy practicing medicine. And so some turnover, I think, is okay for both parties. I think. The other piece in recruiting, also in rural areas, is a spouse. You have to be really mindful of the spouse and what they're looking for. If they have young kids, the schooling is a huge issue. Many rural areas don't have private schools. Some physicians and spouses are looking for private schooling for their kids. And so when we recruit physicians in rural areas, kind of looking at it from a holistic approach to make sure that everything that they need, not just recreationally, but I think from an education standpoint for their kids, um, recreation activities for the spouse. Maybe it could be a female physician and you have a male spouse, and so you got to be able to look at that too. And there's always also the issue of job opportunities too. I've worked with physicians or interviewed physicians that many times they want to make sure that their spouse has a position as well somewhere.
I
So,
tell you, Yeah, I'll tell you a very funny story. I used to place doctors, and then one time I faced a situation. A doctor wants his wife is a hairstylist. He wants a particularly Indian hairstyle. She's stylist, so he doesn't want to go to any place that is not too many Indian hair salons are not there. That was a yeah. As you said that spouse is a very important to deal
yeah,
with.
yeah. Yeah, no, I was in Illinois just till the end of May. Actually, funny you mentioned that, but I had a physician that was asking about Indian grocery stores. Are there any grocery stores in that area? And unfortunately, there was not. So, we had to say that there were none and kind of point to some of the more closer metropolitan areas where there were grocery stores. So we kind of have to know where there might be, if they start asking. But part of recruiting is to be really flexible, and I think part of it's also an information type of activity, because when physicians ask for something during the recruitment process, if we don't have something in the town or the community, then we need to know, at least we need to be able to go find if there's something. We have physicians that come in that ask, is there a mosque nearby, is there a temple nearby? So I think we have to be mindful of those things because that's part of their life, and so we need to make sure well, at least we're trying to do the we are trying to work hard on trying to find answers to some of their questions.
So, do you see after the pandemic a different kind of approach doctors are willing to? Before that, it is a challenging challenge them is a challenge to move them to rural areas. It became a much easier to now attracting doctors to rural areas because of the pandemic?
There's a couple of things that come go through my mind. One is we were, when I was actually in Illinois during the pandemic with a hospital, and we actually were successful in recruiting a physician from Oklahoma at that time through telehealth and video interviews and stuff. It was right in the heart of the pandemic, and so we were successful. I think it's still the same challenges still exist. I think not it hasn't gotten easier. I think physicians post pandemic in some markets, I think they have decided to stay on because of stability and the unknown as to what's happening. Because there's still issues with volume levels. That we're still having COVID cases and things like that going on. But whether you're a surgical specialty or non-surgical specialty, I think physicians got concerned about how busy are they going to be if they go to a new place? How can they build up a practice, considering everything that's gone on thus far? So I think there's definitely challenges. Some of them are the same before the pandemic. So
Let me ask you a question. Rural areas, what are the rural medicine requires? What kind of innovations you think that helps in the rural area medicine? What are the things you're leading another company, healthcare innovation company? What are the we were discussing before this one is that it's not just IT. There's a lot of innovations requires a lot of broad breadth of experience, breadth of other areas. Tell us a little bit about it. What are the rural areas require a different kind of innovations rather than on the big cities?
yeah, that's again another great question, Romana, because I think as we talked before the session today, innovation. Most people, when we say innovation, think of technology. And yes, technology has played a major role in innovation, whether it's telemedicine, the infrastructure needed for Wi-Fi networks, etc., to be able to do telemedicine. I think all that's really important. I think what patients and to me, at least I'm going off of experience and being hands-on with, at the front um, on the front line of trying to listen and learn with our staff and our patients as to what's going on. What they're looking for is simplicity. I think what patients and physicians and providers and staff are looking for is simplicity. Yes, I think we need an EMR. Yes, it does help us in making sure there's less errors, etc. And it helps with some level of documentation. But what patients, providers, staff are looking for is um, they're looking for simplicity. We might talk of innovation, but innovation needs to keep things simple. And I think it's important. Um, Sorry, I was just looking at the chat message.
I had
But
a
yeah, yeah,
Go ahead, please. Please go ahead.
yeah. So I think what people want through innovation is simplicity. I think we 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 use the word innovation, and all it does is get more complicated.
Hmm.
So I think it's important for us to simplify things even more through innovation.
Steve Jobs used to say, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I repeat, I play a program. I do on my show. I do talk about entropy, is a physics concept. Complexity really increases when complexity increases. The system goes chaos. So always keep it simpler. That's what the physics laws of physics tell you. Keep it simpler. That's what is missing. That they think the technology people wanted to add a lot of whistles and buzzles. That is a bigger problem. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication and easier, and it is otherwise the system can lead into chaos. Do you agree?
I totally agree. I mean, I think that's why some of our processes, have gotten so complex that as opposed to touching the nose this way, we try to do it this way. We've just overcomplicated things because we just feel like it has to be complicated. But I think we've lost efficiencies. You know, um, I'm a private pilot. I fly, you know, and I'm in aviation, so I do a lot of research and reading on aviation only because it helps me. I think in healthcare because we many times we lose things in translation because of overcomplicating it, and we get too verbose, or I shouldn't say verbose. I think we use terminology that people don't understand, and patients get lost in translation, and I think they don't know what's happening in the end.
Brandon,
Um, yeah.
thank you. Brandon, are you there? Can you come online? I don't see my co-host is supposed to be here today. He's having a
Oh,
problem with the
yeah.
as a Brandon Kriegel.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Brandon, come on camera if you don't mind. But anyway, so well, yeah, Brandon, yeah. Let me bring all of us three together. Let me. Why we are not? Yeah, Brandon is supposed to be there, and yeah, Brandon. You
Yeah.
know, Brandon is my son's. Hey, welcome, Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon is my son's classmate. You know, I
Okay.
used to bother them with the quantum physics when they were growing up, and he is a brilliant kid. He's not a kid anymore, but they're all grown now. They got a mustache and all those things.
Yeah.
Um, but Brandon is a Harvard graduate of business school, and you know, you will add a little bit of a flavor to our webcast. Brandon is you know. So you have any questions? See, you're not a medical side of it, but you have a general question. Anything you have in the or you want to do just listening and then you participate later on? What is your? I can't hear you, Brandon. You need to
You
unmute
might
your
you
phone.
might be on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, now you can. You're on mute. You're on mute. No, cannot hear you. No,
No.
is a phone is
No,
some.
we can't hear you. Yeah. No.
You fix the problem and come back. Fix the problem and come back. You know. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
let me
So I
bring.
think simplicity. I think yeah. So I think keeping things simple for patients and overall process improvement, anything that goes on, I think is important. I think when you talk of innovation, things need to be simple. So
I agree. I 100% agree with you. This is a big problem. They think they want to dump technology everywhere. Technology can be complicated. You know, it's a entropy law is that if one place you make it easier, one place and easier, you're increasing tenfold complexity in other places. So that is one of the fundamental laws of physics. It's not just a saying that. It is a laws of it's embedded in the laws of physics. So I'm going to do a presentation of my presentation. This is just you stay with me, and then we will do the. Thank you for joining, and I will ask you a couple of questions. Web, you know, I asked Brandon, he could not able to come. Uh, I hope I can hear him. Brandon, can you hear me, or can you talk? No, still he has having a problem with the
still
phone.
figuring it out. Yeah.
Is a problem. But anyway, this is my presentation is okay. You're on the side next to the presentation. This is about the miracle and medical machine. That's what I'm doing. Uh, so magnetoencephalography, that is called magnetocardiography. That is I wanted to play a video actually. So let me. I'm going to do a play video on it, and then I will just
It
sorry
looks
for
like
that.
Brandon says he's actually yelling into the mic, so there's got to be some other technical
Yeah,
issue.
that
Yeah.
is not something is unmute. He has to. There's big problems, you know. That is a. So I made a mistake a little bit. Be patient, guys. This presentation is going to be. Uh, that's just to be patient. 1 minute. I'm going to show you this. So what? Uh, Okay, so Brandon, I don't know whether you need to fix those these all the other problems. We don't know how to work on that. It is technology is challenging, more complicated. It has a lot of value to it, but it has its own challenges. I'm going to play a video.
You might have heard about a psychic squid that predicts a World Cup winner, or at least you have seen at the dinner table.
No,
The squid I am talking about is neither. This squid accidentally fell on us 100 years ahead of its time. The squid contribution to the medical field is invaluable. It revolutionizes the way you predict and diagnose diseases. This squid hunts cancer cells like you never seen before. It will pick up source of seizures in the brain like no other. It is just not picking the needle from a haystack. It can pick your last nail from Appalachian mountains. Hello, my name is Ramana Anamaraju. I have a passion for physics, specializing in allied healthcare, and above all, concern for well-being of all humanity. Edward Flynn was hit by tragedy twice and lost both of his wives to breast cancer. When his first wife was fell in coma, he used to visit her at the hospital. He used to whisper in her ears, wondering she may be understanding what he was saying. After a few months, she died. Not knowing his wife understood his undying love for her or not is frustrating. Then second wife, after a brief marriage, lost to breast cancer again. He is determined to do something about it. Edward Flynn is neither king nor can afford to build a Taj Mahal in memory of his beloved wives. But he built something better. He built SQUID. Acronym for SQUID is Superconducting Quantum Interference Device. As strange as that name is, this device is out of this world. He brought a mystical and elusive quantum nature of our universe to the benefit of the world of humanity. Edward Flynn is a nuclear physicist at the prestigious Los Alamos Defense Laboratories. He gave a remarkable gift from mother of all sciences, physics, to the field of medicine. A new machine, magnetoencephalograph, was born, usually referred as a MEG scanner. This exotic hair-blower looking machine is a mag helmet made up of several squids, which are quantum devices that are designed by Edward Flynn's team. This machine, without touching the body, can read magnetic fields coming from a body that are 100 million times weaker than our Earth's magnetic field. Amanda Malmsberg of Wisconsin fell on the kitchen at the age of 8 with a first epileptic seizure. She was getting seizures almost 100 times a day by the age 16. With the help of neuroradiologist Dr. Deepak Raghavan, they made a journey deep into her brain by using MEG scanner without single incision, looking for the elusive source of epilepsy. It is just like looking for a needle in the Grand Canyon. It is that difficult. They found the source of her problem hiding deep inside of her brain. No other modality, including powerful MRI, even come close to these findings. The very tiny source of area that is causing her seizures was surgically removed, and Amanda is living happily ever after without even a single incident of seizure. The woman's life was given back by this remarkable machine. The researchers racing towards to find that very tiny number of cells that causing Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, depression, autism, and chronic alcoholism, and many other brain-related diseases. MEG scanner is taking on the most challenging and the deadliest disease of all for women, breast cancer. With the present technologies, you need 10 million cells to be affected before it shows up on any modality or device like a mammography or MRI. But the MEG scanner hunts for those few thousand cells causing cancer out of 90 trillion cells, not a billion, 90 trillion cells. Probably MEG scanner can detect breast cancer 5 to 10 years in advance before any modality. Vanderbilt Gastrointestinal Squid Technology GIST Laboratory is an interdisciplinary initiative by the Department of Surgery and by the Department of Physics to detect hard to find stomach ailments can go on. This is a direct demonstration of quantum physics in action through a medical device while saving countless lives. Nuclear physicist Edward Flynn may not have saved his wife's life, but saved countless lives on her memory and will be saving millions in the future. It is a better than a Taj Mahal indeed. Thank you for listening.
Yes, that's I'm going to talk about a little bit about it. I hope all of them. Brandon is. I hope he's there, but let us see that if he is working still. He's, that. Yeah, Brandon, can you hear us? I hope you can hear us. Uh, can you talk? Still, you have a problem. Your mic.
You can hear. Yeah.
I cannot hear.
Oh, you can't hear him? I can hear him. No, I can't hear him, but he's messaging. He says he cannot
The
talk.
message is correct. But anyway, okay, Brandon, okay, you have to watch. That's all I can
We
see.
can see you. Yes.
We can see you, Brandon, but we cannot hear you. There is a mic situation there. I don't know what it is, but this technology. They say it's easier. That's what you're talking about, Peter and me. That is not nothing is easier. They say, you know, yeah. But anyway, let me go through the my presentation very quick. This is magnetoencephalograph. So brain is basically a circuit, electric circuit. Is a 10 watts bulb. Is basically 10 watts. A brain circuit is 10 watts bulb. If you put a bulb on it, if you connect all the wires and put the bulb on it, 10 watts bulb will blow up. That is basically brain is a electric circuit. Not only brain, the heart is a heart conducts electricity. We are electricity means moving electrons. That's what bottom line is. Electricity is. So heart also conducts electricity, as you know, and all those things. It regulates the heartbeats and all those things. A lot of cardiologists can tell you. So electricity, so measuring electricity in the body is much easier. Is easier technique. The first evolved technique we know EEG that brings the conduction of electricity in the brain. That's the EEG machine, electroencephalograph. Then you can see the heart is also with EKG. You put the electrodes on it, and then you can read the EKG of the heart. What signal? Sine wave. You can watch all the QRS complex on the EKG machines. So we can measure the electricity by touching the body, by connecting the body to the electrical devices, electrical measurement devices. Then you can measure EEG, the brain activity, or the heart activity. You can measure. But there is a very strange. Where there is electricity, there is a magnetism. So the fundamentals of physics says that when there is electricity going on a planar side, usually is a right hand thumb principle. It is the magnetic field goes outside. It is a perpendicular to the electric field. So electric field comes out of your body. It outside of the body. You can see a magnetic aura basically. So but it is very the magnetic aura is comes out of the heart and comes out of the brain outside. That's interesting, right? So, but it is a very weak. We have Earth as a magnetic field. It overwhelms everything else. It is a 1 million weaker than Earth's magnetic field. We emanate magnetic fields, but it is a much weaker. So we have to build an instrument. But the advantage of that is people want to read a magnetic field rather than electric field because it's non-invasive. First thing is advantage is you don't have to touch the body. So what did they do? They use this technology. Edward Flynn I was talking about in the video. Edward Flynn's the squid they put on the hat. In the left side you see this hat. They put that hat. All the squids they are there. The quantum tunneling uses super quantum superconductivity. It uses squid is superconducting quantum interference device. That's called squid. It is not a squid in the thing to eat on the dinner table. It is different. So it is a different quantum phenomena. So you can measure this one into the magnetic fields with this measure. So magnetic field is yeah, you can see with our eye 20, 1 micron we can see. Okay, eye has a sorry eye has a 25 microns. You can see just as small as 25 microns. That's a that's a so, but you cannot the volume of it. So, but you can with a meg you can measure 1/25th of the 1/25,000 inch. You can see it. That is the power of the squid. You by using the magnetoencephalograph. So the advantage of that spatial and temporal resolution is an amazing. You'll get, another thing is electric fields have a disturbance by going through the in the brain. So you cannot measure exactly where the epilepsy, for example, the Emanuel Malmsberg epilepsy, you cannot measure easily you cannot locate them. Spatially is a big challenge, but the magnetoencephalograph gives you exact location where the epilepsy is starting. And also temporal resolution. Temporal means time. A lot of times in the electrical signals, it is after the fact. It is all done. Then you cannot catch that where it exactly is happening. So they don't know exactly where the affected cells are. But if the magnetoencephalograph, what is advantage is the temporal resolution is milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, 1 milli. That is up 200 milliseconds. You can catch it. So you can catch exactly where these epilepsy cells are, where the Alzheimer's cells are, where all those things are. You can see in action. You can make a movie out of it. That's a great thing about magnetoencephalograph. It is a powerful instrument. It can, it requires a special kind of construction because the interference cannot be, so they create it is a very expensive construction. It has to be almost vacuum hang in the volumes. It can detect the epilepsy, depression, alcoholism, cancer in the much more in advance. Eventually, they will find maybe 15 years in advance, that you can do with the magnetoencephalograph, the brain. So the depression is the cells that cause the depression. You can catch them and surgically you can remove it. Alcoholism inside, alcohol you can remove it. Eventually, that is their goal. So these are cells you can really is a 22nd century, 21st century. It is a 22nd century's machine. Basically, it is. So that is the EEG machine. But what about the cardiography? That is a little bit better actually. Magnetocardiography is on the heart. They see structural fellowship is there. A lot of the cardiologists read a structural fellowship, but still it's very complex. The heart, we don't know exactly. We don't have a full understanding of all the mechanisms of the heart. That's why so many people dying it. Otherwise we can catch and prevent all the diseases. We don't understand we understand it, but we don't know the exact mechanism where it's starting. So magnetocardiography can help that. For example, unstable angina, myocardial injury, myocardial infarction, all those things you can do much better with the magnetocardiography. Um, very one more thing, the people who don't care about, nowadays we have a problem and don't care, the children, when the heart gets injured, whatever the injury is a functional injury or structural injury, it happens to your heart. What people don't know this, it reverts back into the pediatric heart. It becomes it goes back to the epigenome project. Epigenome reverts back to so a adult heart becomes a pediatric heart. Can you believe that? This is a very interesting concept. So the function of that conversion, we don't understand it correctly. So magnetocardiography can help that. The structural, functional designs are so powerful. You can catch that. Why it is? What are the epigenome triggering that to convert them into the pediatric heart? That's adult heart becomes a pediatric heart. It reverts it. Fetal heart. So we need to understand exactly what the situation is. One of the good things they found out recently is that magnetocardiography, you don't need a special machine, special designs. You don't need a big building. Your machine can be portable. It can be work in the room temperatures. With the magnetoencephalograph, you need to work in the cold temperatures, the liquid helium minus 270 Kelvin temperatures you need to have. So that's a different. So magnetocardiography can work in the room temperatures that they're working on. So it is a powerful instrument to see that the advantage of that. So 3D imaging, fifth, there's the epigenome. They wanted to catch the epigenome in the magnetocardiography is the so reading the magnetic fields from the heart and from the brain is a new kind of field. Is a magnetocardiography, magnetoencephalography are the field is evolving right now. So So actually, the studio, because a lot of people complain about that, it's a very expensive to build it, and so Medicare did not approve it. There's a lot of universities cannot afford it. But who built this kind of a studio? I went to that studio. To be honest with you, I was in Minneapolis. I went to Prince Music Studio. He built in the vacuum this entire. It looks like a magnetoencephalograph when he was alive. He built the studio, music studio. It hangs in the vacuum, the entire thing. It is shielded from the electric and magnetic fields. So a artist can build it. Government can easily support that or magnetoencephalography machines. So we need to really learn from a Prince, dead artist. Actually, that we can, if we can afford it, we should that the people who are suffering all these things, we need these advances. We need to invest in this kind of new technologies. So there's a piano is a music meg study. You can play like in the brain. Actually, what they found out is very interesting. It's a Beethoven music. What they found out with the magnetoencephalography, what they found is very interesting. They saw that the when you play a piano, after you finish, you take a break. In the brain, automatically, without your intervention, it plays 50 milliseconds replays. It does compress the entire thing and continuously replays. Can you believe that? Brain practices what you do on the piano, automatic, without your intervention. Well, that's what they found in the music with the magnetoencephalograph. So people who play piano, and if they play it, so take it easy. Sometimes you do something else. The brain, without your thinking about it, it plays inside your brain 50. The compresses 24 compression. It does the brain, and then does that, and then keep on replaying it. And then what it does, it strengthens the synapses and all those things. It strengthens the whole motor neurons. I think that's why they can play. So magnetoencephalography, they found it. So what is the advantage? You can literally take a Beethoven, you can copy that and then put it in somebody's mind and say, hey, play this one. You could play, basically, you could become Beethoven like him. So that is the technology is coming up. So it's definitely a miracle machine. It is a we need to really pay attention to it. I have Amazon, and is a Bose-Einstein condensate. They use this as a speed medium. Can use a Bose-Einstein condensate. Is a fifth state of matter. Is like you have solids, liquids, and gas, plasma. The fifth state of matter is a Bose-Einstein condensate. Bose is an Indian mathematician. Einstein is Indian, as everybody knows. They created a new theory, and then he proved it. Actually, in Colorado, they created this new material. It's called a Bose-Einstein condensate. In this Bose-Einstein condensate, you can really put in the squid, that mag helmet. You can put that material. You can do that a lot of things. So I think so you already done the magnetoencephalograph. That is a thank you for listening. This is a new kind of thing. Let me bring my guests back and see that what they think, and then we can talk a little bit, couple of minutes about with the system. 1 second. So Peter, that is a magnetoencephalograph. you know.
It's amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we need to invest in all these technologies. That is a new thing. It's a technology, but it's a scientific wonder. It is came from science. That's what we need. It is not just adding bizzles and puzzles. It's a really, we need these kind of a new machines available to the public and available to the, what is the reason for the It's a massive depression problem, mental health problems now. I don't know how. I wanted to ask you the question is it this is this in a small areas mental health is that a lot of things are mental health and chronic alcoholism there in the rural areas is a big problem.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yes.
So how do you is there any there are not too many resources available to them, right? If I correctly.
Yeah, it's there's always they're always in high demand, and it's tough to get in with counselors or behavioral health therapists or psychiatrists. So yeah, it's definitely an ongoing issue. I think behavioral health, substance abuse. Yeah.
So tell me about your new company, Health Innovation. What you do, what exactly you do in the company, your website, and give me a little bit of your website and the information about you.
Yeah, the Healthcare Leadership and Innovation Center, it's a consulting firm, and so we provide consulting services to hospitals and physician medical groups, FQHCs, which are federally qualified health centers, the community health centers. So we provide any type of assistance they might need in terms of, if they have a project, if they need some process improvement type issues, then we help with that. We provide some training and education webinars. The innovation piece, we're still kind of in the process of updating our website actually so that we can have some discussion forums on there, professional discussion forums to hear from people on the ground on what their thoughts on innovation might be. It's not just technology as we talked about, but just new ways of doing things, new protocols, if they're out there, new processes, process mapping, things like that. Um, and so our goal is to really try to use concepts from aviation because we feel that aviation, um, you talked about physics, there's a lot of physics in aviation. Um, so some basic concepts, I can pick on communication and talk a lot about that, but I think um, many times in healthcare, the communication is not clear as it should be. No one's fault. It's just how life is. It gets complicated, and so our goal is to try to merge aviation concepts to healthcare and try to make things more practical and simplified to be able to make a difference in the lives of patients and clinicians and staff every day because what they do every day is huge, and I think you asked the question a while back, what are physicians looking for in the future? I think I can't read their minds, but I think definitely the word simplify comes to mind. I think they want less burnout. We talked about behavioral health and that's a huge challenge. And just like pilots, physicians don't like to report that they are having behavioral health issues or going through tough times. They hold it to themselves because they don't want to report it, and they get through every day and every patient with struggles. And so I think simplifying the lives of patients and physicians and medical groups, hospitals is our role. Is try to help make sense of things and break things down to where we don't have to complicate things. There's easier ways of doing things and more efficient ways of doing things.
I was just yesterday talking about a polymath physicians. Physicians have a different kind of backgrounds. Dr. Bill Frist has a flying experience. He's saying that. What did you're a pilot? What did you particular thing that you can adopt in the healthcare side of it, in the healthcare side of it?
Can you repeat that question? I want to
So,
make sure.
what is in the aviation that you, as a being a pilot, can you give me one example of what is the one that you think of that you can apply in the healthcare side?
I can give you two easily because
Okay,
one is on
okay.
communication. Clear. In healthcare, we have something called SBAR, which is Situation Background Assessment and Recommendation. We don't use that enough. In aviation, we have to be really clear on communicating with um, other airplanes in the area or with ATC, air traffic control, and our communication has to be really clear and concise. We can't give them a thesis on the phone. We have to be able to provide clear-cut information. Same in healthcare. When things are happening on the ground, physicians or nurses, they're wanting clear, concise communication. So that's one thing. The other example that I can give you is software. We've talked about EMRs. The Boeing 737 MAX, when it had the major issues that it had and the fatalities it had, it was a software issue in the end. You know, the pilot could not really override the software, and so what happened ended up being that the software took control of of the aircraft, and even though the pilots were trying to take manual control of it, they couldn't because the software was trying to take control. My point there is that we're the human beings and we need to have full control of software and we need to be able to override it when we can. I do believe in things like artificial intelligence and things of that nature, but I think to me, we need to be software, be a tool, and it can't control us. So,
I agree, no more. I tell you, the EMR function at the end of the day, EMR's function is to communicate clear and crisp language to the patients. That is not there at all. We have a long way to go from that point of view. It
yeah,
is not a. It is some kind of a dry language. It shows that EMR, but in fact, the bottom line is you have to be in a poetic language, very crisp and clear to the patients. That is seriously lacking. That's one of the reasons healthcare is taking a big flack on it. What do you?
yeah, I think again, there's just a lot of complications going on and a lot of this, it's kind of got really fragmented, and so we've made it even more fragmented with the billing piece of it and documentation side of things. So, yeah.
So I am trying to bring you know the I am trying to bring Brandon, but still is not there. I think he left. But thank you, Peter. Thank you. It's an honor for me that you come down and explain. One of the things I learned it is how you can apply polymath physician kind of concept. That is, you can take from a different field and then apply that things. That is a true innovation in my view. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter Rao, and for this insights. And I
Well,
appreciate it. Good night, all of you.
yeah, you're welcome, Ramon. Take care. Good